Okay.
All right. Okay, so the first question is, what is your personal definition of independence?
I would say, for me, a lot of people, I feel like, define independence as doing things by themselves or, having to do it like just me. And, yes, I think that independence is doing things, on your own. There is a part of it to that. But I also feel like independence has a sense of curiosity to it. And I think that, having the ability to be being curious and being able to engage that curiosity and almost like just kind of like going after it and kind of following that sense and kind of like engaging in that and wanting to do the things that maybe scare you a little bit in a sense.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, like for me it's like independence can be a little bit scary, but it's about getting curious about it and kind of being a little bit brave about it and being able to, go after it and do it. I don't know. Sometimes,
that's awesome.
Okay, sometimes like independence can be so many different things. And I think that, again, like there's a lot of pressure on people, especially a lot of teenagers, where it's like, I want to do it myself, or like just to do things. But at the same time, it can also be scary. It's like, I don't want to be by myself. But like, I think if you reframe it as allowing yourself to get curious and getting curious about the things that you want to do and just doing those things.
Yeah.
I think it gives it a totally different frame of reference.
That's
I don't know.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
All right. When do you feel that you first gained your sense of independence?
I feel like there were different times in my life that I got different periods of independence. And I definitely think, being, really kind of geeky about developmental psychology, I definitely think that aligns with that because, there's different stages in your life that you gain different pieces of independence. There's like, when you're 3 or 4, it's like, I do it, I want to do it. And then when you're about 7, 8, 9, 10, you have this ability to go do things by yourself. And then teens. And I definitely see myself doing all those as well. I think for me personally, I grew up in a way that, especially as an only child, and both of my parents worked, I feel like I became very independent kind of early on. Like I definitely, I did my own laundry from a very young age. Like I started doing my own laundry at like 7.
Wow.
I was able to cook my own meals. I was definitely what's called like a latchkey kid, meaning like I came home after school and nobody was there and kind of like took care of myself.
Yeah.
Which kind of led to its own version of independence in a way.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like, I became independent like in a different way, like really just recently, like financial independence has really been, that's been a very new thing for me. That has been very cool and scary. Oh my God, that's been like one of the scariest.
Yeah, oh my God.
One of the scariest things. And like I was saying to the last question of like, it's really, really scary and vulnerable to be independent.
Right.
But at the same time, if you just like allow yourself to be curious about it and just kind of like, okay, like I can do this. And at the same time, also allow yourself to rely on your support system and like your friends, your family to support. Like you can get support while also being independent.
Right.
Like both can exist. So I feel like there have been different periods of my life where I've been able to be independent in different ways. And it's each stage has allowed me to be independent in different ways that is just built upon the next. Like, when I was younger, but then going off to college, I learned how to be independent in my studies.
Yeah.
And learn how like I couldn't rely on anybody else to make myself study.
That's all you.
I had to do it on me. And then, I didn't have, like, now I don't have somebody being like, okay, I have to pay my own bills. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's just like all these past experiences just build on one another. That there's not just like one it's not just like, okay, you become independent and like
Right.
you're done. It's like all these little tiny things that build up.
Yeah.
So,
Always.
does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. Do you believe independence is a necessity to have in order to live your day-to-day life?
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely think that it's a developmental necessity. I definitely think that in order to at least develop in the way that we kind of see developmental appropriateness right now, it's very necessary. I think that you need a sense of confidence. I think that you need a sense of, like, you need an ability, or you need to be able to see yourself as capable
Right.
of being able to do something, like, and believing that I am capable of doing this, or I'm able to, you know, be out there in this world and know that I can take care of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot going on. There's especially a lot going on in the world today that,
Yeah.
you know, having that ability to know that you can handle it and take care of it, I think is very empowering.
For sure.
And I think that regardless of where you are in your developmental timeline, I think that it's absolutely necessary, and it's very necessary for your support system to encourage and empower that at every level.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Is independence a hard thing to possess?
Yes. Well, yeah. No, yes. I would say yes, because I think it kind of goes back to that confidence piece and courage and curiosity piece, because I think that you have to be willing to kind of face something that is a little scary. You have to be a little bit curious, and you have to be willing to take a little risk. I think that you have to be willing to, you know, lose something or risk something, and, you know, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to make a mistake, to see, to fall down. Okay, like, okay, I messed up here. That's okay. As long as you're willing to get back up, like, you're going to learn how to better do it and how to do it yourself. Like, you're going to face that fear. You're going to face that failure, so to speak, and learn how to do it yourself and learn how you can do it. Not how somebody, like, you can read a book or you can watch how somebody else does it, but that's not going to teach you how you do it necessarily.
Right.
But I think it's difficult, because I think that you're really facing vulnerability and fear in the face.
Totally. Yeah.
And I mean, God, it was this whole, like, you know, financial independence thing has been scary. For sure. It's been very, like, and it's funny because, like, looking back, and maybe it's like the hindsight thing, everything seems so much easier, where, you know, perspective and all of that. But at least for me, because I'm in it right now, that's the one that I'm really kind of, like, adhering to. But I do remember, like, being in college and being in high school, that college, or transitioning to college, that's very, and you're about to go through that right now.
Yes, yeah.
That getting ready to, you know, graduate from high school and go to college, like, that's a scary thing of, like, I'm about to be away from home completely.
Yeah.
Completely, and just, I'm going to have to make my own decisions, and,
Yeah.
you know when to go get my oil changed, or like buy my own groceries, or, you know, stuff like that. And it's like you're doing all these things for the first time on your own. And I think allowing yourself to know that, like, you're going to make mistakes. And I think being generous with yourself and compassionate to yourself, that, like, it's going to happen and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge piece of independence, is compassion. Like, that, like, maybe that's how I would also define independence, which I feel like I should, like, reframe as, like, you know, not only being curious, but also being compassionate. Like, being curious, but also compassionate about the fact that, like, you're going to fail, and it's okay. Like, that's where you find it. So it's scary and necessary, and you've got to have that compassion, and it's like, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there, and you'll find it your own way. Right. Because that's what independence is all about.
Yeah.
Is finding your own way. And allowing your support system to support you in that way, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is such a good interview. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. How do you use independence when it comes to your work?
Ooh, in a lot of ways, because I think So when I became a therapist, or kind of when I was in grad school learning about it, there was very much this perfectionism for me that I expected to like learn how to be the best therapist and study all this stuff. And the most frustrating answer I'd always get from my professors was like, it depends. And that was like, that is not an answer.
I need exact answers.
Exactly. And it's so frustrating. And I think, one, working with children and teenagers and young adults that are in transition is like, being a therapist is so much about meeting somebody where they are on that journey and also allowing them to kind of figure things out for themselves.
Right.
And it's not about fixing somebody's problems. It's about being present with them on that journey. And so I think that not only am I allowing myself forgiveness to not being a perfect therapist, but I'm also really trying to empower them to be okay with where they are.
Yeah.
Being okay with, like, you might be, to quote another therapist here, Justin, like, you're in the yuck.
Yeah.
You're in it, and it's okay, and I'm here with you.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe you could find the way out.
Yeah.
But I'm here with you. You're not alone in this.
That's awesome.
And I know that doesn't necessarily meet the definition of independence to not be alone in it, but, like, to empower that person to kind of figure it out for them. What is their answer to it, not what a textbook says.
Right.
And also, like, for me, you can look at all these textbooks and all this stuff, but, like, I really found my own way of being a therapist. Like, yes, I can kind of, like, read the client, but, like, I kind of have my own quirky way of doing it that works, and it's not for everybody, but, I kind of have made, like, this, like, very eclectic blend of developmental and relationship and neuroscience that, like, it kind of works for me. And it wasn't made in a textbook, but I allowed myself to kind of just let it go, like, let that perfectionist piece go, and just kind of, like, this feels right for me. I mean, if I'm empowering my clients to do that, like, I have to do that for myself. And I think that's when I really knew that I was going to be a good therapist, is when I was still in grad school and was just like, I'm just going to let myself be at peace with this. Because if I have to encourage clients to do that, I have to do that for myself.
Exactly.
And, like, I don't know. And once I allowed myself to do that, like, everything just kind of, like, landed into place.
Yeah.
So it's a much easier said than done kind of thing, but, like, I don't know. You just kind of, you create your own, there's a word for it. I'm totally blanking on the word, but there's, like, a, like, methodology to it.
For sure.
So, yeah. So I've kind of, forged my own path of therapy, and
I love that.
And I encourage my clients to kind of embrace that piece of themselves as well.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so you don't have to prescribe to one, like, methodology or one, like, type.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so awesome.
Well, cool.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Does that, like, answer your thoughts and kind of just your
You have
questions?
a great outlook on independence, for sure. I really like
you.
your view of that. So.
Thank you. And I think, obviously, I think my view of it is a little bit different being an only child. I think it'd be interesting also to kind of, it could be a totally separate topic, like, different, like, looking at family systems, like, what is, like, an only child versus, like, a middle child versus, like, a, firstborn look like. But, yeah, I think, so independence, like, happy 4th of July. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was good.
Awesome.
You have great questions.
Thank you. You did pretty great.
Yeah. It's like, and the fact that you asked such insightful questions, like, makes it very easy.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah. When it shows, I think it shows that you have, like, good questions lead to good answers.